One key on this keyboard does two completely different things in Kittl. I'm going to show you that and 10 total tips and shortcuts that most people don't talk about in Kittl. Let's jump in. All right, here we are in Kittl, and the first little shortcut is the spacebar. Seems super simple, but guess what it does? Right now, if I move on this, I'm just selecting and moving stuff around. If I hold down the spacebar, it lets me move around the area. So hold down that spacebar and you can manipulate the entire workspace. Next, let's say you're trying to select a bunch of this stuff, like maybe all of the text here, but every time you do it, keep selecting that background and you really don't want to. You can actually lock parts of your design. So I'm going to click on this background and I'm going to hit Shift, Control or Command and L. It's going to lock that layer, and now I can select all of the text here and move it around without messing up the background. But how do you unlock it? Well, that leads us into the next tip. Hiding over here, just below my head, is a little panel called the Layers panel. And if you're a designer that's worked in a lot of other softwares, you know layers are powerful things. So if we click the drop down for the wild and free artboard, you can see they're separated by the different artboards. Click this drop down, and now you're gonna see a little lock icon. That's gonna let us know it's that background layer that's locked. Now I can just simply select it and hit Control or Command Shift L again to unlock it, or I can hit the lock or unlock icon next to it. Another super powerful thing in the layers panel here is, let's say you're trying to select something that's behind maybe a texture layer, or there's two texts over the top of each other and you're trying to select the one that's behind it. Well, in here, you can much more easily select the different layers just by clicking on them. The next tool is near and dear to my heart because I am a big old font nerd, but it's called Glyphs. And what Glyphs are is, let's say you love everything about this font, but you really don't like the A or the E. You know what? I'm gonna say the E is the one I don't like. So what I can do is, over here in the text panel on the right-hand side, there's a little icon right here called Glyphs. And what a lot of people don't realize is most fonts, most really good fonts, have multiple versions of specific letters. So we can search the entire font, or we can put in the letter we want to substitute. E, and look at that, we've got a few different options of E's. I definitely like that one better. Let's check out the A. What does the A look like? Let's hit that glyph again and let's select the letter A. Yeah, so that's the one we're currently using, but these ones are smaller, a little different. You know what I'm gonna do? This A, I wanna swap out with this one. It's a little more frilly. I like it. But yeah, Glyphs, super powerful. Every font is a little bit different. So some fonts will have multiples of a letter. Other fonts will only have one or two of something. One of the other things that you'll find in some fonts are special treatments of like a ratio, like a fraction number. Sometimes you'll find doubled up letters that will look better together, or you'll find entire words. So Glyphs are a really neat tool, but again, it is font dependent. Next is the color remove tool. Now for DTF printing, which is my main wheelhouse, you want to remove the shirt's color from the graphic. So in this case, let's say somebody sent you this sweet design and it's going on a purple shirt. So all this purple that's in here, I want to get rid of it. I don't want it to print and to show through. So I've got the purple background on my artboard, and then I'm going to scroll down to where it says photo filter, and at the bottom it says color remove. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to use the eyedropper. I'm going to select this purple color, and then I'm going to adjust the intensity with this slider. Now you're going to see, hopefully it'll show up on the YouTube video. Sometimes it compresses colors a little bit, but you're going to notice that it's starting to remove some of these purples. So I'm going to go to the point where it's out of all of the letters, And you'll notice some of it's disappearing from that purple candy there in the middle as well. But I'm gonna get it to where we get rid of all of it. There it is. Now if I move it off the side, you'll see I've removed all that purple. Now when I export this to print, I just wanna make sure that I tell it to remove the background. Let's talk about the shape tool and some shortcut modifiers. I'll show you what I mean in a second. So let's create a rectangle. You're gonna see that it's kind of free flowing right now. Nothing selected. If I hold down Shift, it's gonna lock it into a perfect square. If you're doing a circle, it's gonna lock it into a perfect circle, even height and width. All right, once I've got that shape in there, you can resize it like with the tools you're used to. So click on here and it slides it bigger or smaller. Click here, make it squattier, but we can also modify those. So if I hold down Shift while I click and drag, it allows me to manipulate the aspect. If I let go of it, it's gonna lock back into the original shape. If I hold down Alt or Option, it's going to resize it from the middle. Let go of it, it resizes it from the opposite corner. If I grab onto the side here, it's going to squish it up and down against the opposite side. If I hold down Option or Alt, it's gonna do that from the middle. And then here's what happens when I push the Shift key. Now it's gonna skew the object left or right, or skew the object up or down. Now you see these little dots here, these little handles right here? This allows us to create a radius. So if you don't want a perfectly square circle, you can click on this radius and drag it in. Let's say you didn't want to do all the corners. If you hold down the Option/Alt key, it will select just one of the corners. So we can create a fun little graphic call out like that. If you're working with a more complex shape like a star, you can see that it's adjusting all of the radius points. If I hold down Alt or Option, it's moving just one of them. So I can manipulate them individually, create some interesting shape. Those keyboard shortcut modifiers are pretty powerful. Next, let's talk about the Shape Builder tool. Now this is different than just the Shape tool. I'll show you what I mean. Let's design a little cloud icon. So we need some circles for it. There we go, we're pretty close on this, but I want the bottoms to be curved a little bit, so we're gonna use the modifier we did before. We're gonna hold down Option or Alt and make the bottom edge curved. Yeah, and then this one's kind of sticking up, so I'm just gonna curve that one to make it fit better. Now that looks really great. That's gonna be a good little cloud icon I can be using. Problem is, look at that. It's all different shapes. So what I can do is I can click and use our shape builders here on the right-hand side. What I'm gonna use this time is Union. That's going to basically merge all of them together to be one solid shape. If I try to put a border on it before I merge them together, I get a border around all the shapes. So if we use that shape builder, creates one image, and then we can put that border around it. Now, some of the other tools in that shape builder, let's say you're trying to create a crescent moon really quickly and easily. You can take one circle, lay another circle over the top of it, select them both, and use the subtract. What that's gonna do is that's gonna take the top shape and kind of cookie cutter it out of the bottom shape. Another thing you can do is use the intersect. So it's gonna take just the pieces that are laying on top of each other, so the parts that intersect. The final option in the shape builder is exclude the intersection. So that's gonna get rid of the part that's in the middle. So some of these shape builder tools work only when you have two shapes sitting on top of each other. Some of them will work with multiple shapes sitting on top of each other, like we did with that cloud. Now let's say you want to draw a little bit more complex shape. There's a pen tool here, and you can click and create yourself a little shape like that. Nice, simple, but those are straight lines. How do you get curved lines? Click, and we talked about modifiers earlier. You can modify this as well. Hold down the Shift key and it will lock the line in to 45-degree angles. If you know you want a 45-degree angle, just hold down that Shift key. Otherwise, make it whatever you want. Then click on the next one. Don't release your mouse button, and you can create curves this way. You can also lock by holding Shift the angle of this curve reference. And click on your next one and hold it down, and you can create another curve here. So you can create your own little kind of blob shapes if you want to. And then with the move or selection tool selected, you can now fill it in. Or don't fill it in and just create a border around it. Maybe make that border a nice little blue color. All right, let's say you love this shape and you want to duplicate it. This is our next tip. So let's say you want a couple of these shapes you just drew. Well, you can right click on it and say duplicate, but that's a lot of extra steps. And then you have to click on it and move it around. If you got a bunch of layered images or graphics, it's kind of a pain in the butt. This is the powerful use of the Alt key. So Alt or Option, if you hold it down and you click on an image, drag it, it duplicates it as many times as you want. Just keep holding down that Alt key. Super, super powerful. You can also do it with this up here. You can do it with text. You can do it with all sorts of stuff, but I love holding down the Alt or Option key, clicking and dragging automatically duplicates the selected image. Now this last one, this last use of the Alt key is really helpful when you're trying to lay stuff out, like make sure things are arranged properly. If you select a graphic and you hold down the Alt key and you hover over another graphic, it's going to show you the distance between them, how far apart they are. So if you're working on a graphic like this and you want to make sure that things are evenly spaced, click on it, or make sure they're centered with each other. Click on it, hold down Option, and move around. And you're going to see here, look at this. It's really close, but you can see that 47.2 and 48.46 is saying that that background graphic is a little off center. Now, I think it's a little inaccurate because if we look at the side here, it's a little bit more open space, but it's a great way to make sure that stuff is evenly spaced. So let's click on that and let's make sure that these guys, so we got 24.46 of the spacing to the top of that one. Let's see this one, 24.4, nope, that's not. So if I want this centered between these two, look at this one, 37.4, 33. So I can move it around a little bit to try to get them to be a little more centered with each other. And this is a great way, again, to just check your layouts and see what's going on. It's a lot easier than just eyeballing it or creating a bunch of guides. It's an easy, fast way. Just hold down the Option or Alt key and you're able to see kind of what's going on. That's 10. I hope that a couple of these, if not all of them, were news to you. There are so many tools in Kittl. We're just scratching the surface of it. If you want to try this out for yourself, there's a link down below in the description that is my affiliate link to Kittl, and you'll get a free trial there. You can have my video pulled up in one window and Kittl in the other and follow along with what I've done here today. Ultimately, a little bit of practice and you'll get real familiar with those modifier keys that are going to speed up your workflow tremendously. And that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to help not only show you tools, because there's a lot of them, but show you tools that are actually going to help speed up your workflow. If you have some tools or shortcuts that you think nobody knows about, maybe your little hidden gems, let us know in the comments below and we'll check them out. Help out the whole community. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.